Welcome, scientist. How'd I know you were a scientist? Well, you may not be wearing a white lab coat, but lots of scientists don't. I know you are a scientist because you ask meaningful questions, and that's exactly what scientists do. Scientists wonder why things happen in the natural world, and then try to find out more. Have you ever wondered why certain things happen? You can use the scientific inquiry process to learn more about the natural world. The scientific inquiry process is a step-by-step method that scientists use to gather information about the world around us. When scientists follow this process, they work through steps that require them to ask, predict, investigate, observe, and explain. The first step in the scientific inquiry process is ask. When you ask a question, it's important to develop the question in a way that makes it testable. Testable questions are those you answer as you conduct investigations and make observations that provide evidence. A testable question should focus on the natural world, such as an object, organism, or event. It focuses on the scientific concept rather than your personal opinion or feelings. It can be answered through experiments or observations, and guides you to use the evidence and data you've gathered from the investigation to explain your findings. Once you've developed a testable question, you're ready to make a prediction. In the predict stage of the scientific inquiry process, you use your past experiences to suggest an answer to your question and explain your thinking. The next step is to investigate. It's time to set up your experiment to test your question. You need to consider what materials you should use and how you'll measure and collect data. In the observe step of the scientific inquiry process, you conduct your investigation, make observations about what's happening in your experiment, and record or document your findings. In the next step, you'll use this data as evidence. The last step of the scientific inquiry process is explain. This is when you share what you've learned. Be sure to explain the data, evidence, and observations you recorded earlier. It's important to use evidence as you explain because people will ask, how do you know that? And what evidence do you have? It's likely that you will have questions even after you've conducted your investigation. After scientists conduct an investigation, they continue to ask questions. This leads to another cycle through the inquiry process. The scientific inquiry process is an ongoing process. Sometimes you need to go back to the previous step before you move on. This process is a step-by-step way to learn more about something you're curious about. When you have questions about the natural world, use these steps to grow your understanding. Ask, predict, investigate, observe, and explain.